Namaskar to all of you, and welcome to our next session on Yogic Life. So let's do a brief recap before we proceed further. Okay, let's do a brief recap before we proceed forward. So last class we talked about yoga, right? We talked about yoga and how it is misunderstood in today's world, how the term is not understood properly. We talked all about that. And then we wanted to understand what yoga is not just yogasana. Yogasanas are part of yoga and yogic life, but yoga is not just yogasanas, it's something more than that, right? And also we said that yoga is the union of the jivatma with the paramatma. Jivatma paramatmanoho sanyogaha yogaha. It is the union of the finite with the infinite, right? It's the finite with the infinite. So we actually have a birth and death. We all have a birth and death, and we have a beginning. Physically we have a beginning and we have an end. And also at a particular point in time we feel our existence in one particular place at one particular point in time. So when I'm in the house, I don't feel like I'm somewhere outside in the shop. And if I am Ram, then I don't feel like Shyam. So I only feel like Ram. So those are all the limitations of the time, place and person. So we feel ourselves to be finite. We live in a finite body, and our mind resides in the body. It has a beginning and an end, and we feel finite, but actually we are not finite. Even though we feel finite, we are not finite. So yoga is we have the feeling that we are finite. We have a certain beginning and end, and all these things we have a particular name. If I'm right now in India, then I don't feel like I'm in America. So wherever we are located, we feel like we are located in that particular place. So that is essentially a finite entity. So we are not everywhere. We are not sarva vyapi. We are not everywhere, right? So those are the limitations that we feel. So yoga is, we do know that human beings have an infinite desire. So the mind which resides in the body does not have a shape of its own. So however we think, whatever we think, they become like that. So when we think about the infinite, then we become the infinite. So yoga is the process of realizing the infinite, union of the finite existence with the infinite existence, the union of the individual small ego with the cosmic ego. So it's like the river going and merging with the ocean. So that is what yoga is. Or it is like a cup in the ocean, and the cup is the mind, and the water inside the cup is the jivatma. So essentially it is a way of getting rid of that cup and merging the water that we have within us with the ocean. That is what is yoga, with the ocean of consciousness. That is what is yoga. So we talked about that, and also we said that aham brahmasmi is something that is understood as aham brahmasmi. The realization of aham brahmasmi does not happen by just reading the books, right? It is a sakshatkaraha, it is anubhutihi. So that anubhutihi you get only by doing sadhana. You get that by doing meditation. So meditation is the essence of yoga. So the union of the small ego with the cosmic ego, that happens by following the yoganishta jivanam and also doing sadhana. So which is the essence, the bijam for yoga is sadhana. Aham brahmasmi, it is not just reading of a book. How do I realize that? It is not just memorizing a book or by hearting some shlokas, but how do I become that Brahma? How do I become that Brahma? What is the process for that? So all that is that happens through the following the yoganishta jivanam and doing sadhana, meditation. So we talked about that, and then we also talked about that mind. The mind, every human being has a mind, and the mind is in the body. So it is, yoga is not only a science, it is also has a science of mind within it, right? A lot has been talked about mind within yoga. When we read the Karapatras, we'll be reading a lot about it, but the key concept over here is, as one thinks, one becomes like that, right? The mind itself does not have a shape of its own. The brain has a shape, but the mind does not have a shape. and the mind, whatever we think, we become like that. If we think about the infinite, we become the infinite. If you think about the crude object, then we become like that, we become crude. So our likings and dislikings keep changing. So it is not a static situation. So we can we can control our mind, we can change our mind. Mind is very, very malleable, it is very changeable. So we can take the efforts to change our mind to the direction where we can realize the aham brahmasmi. So whatever we think, we become like that. So when the mind thinks about the infinite, it becomes like the infinite. If it contemplates on something subtle, right? Paramatma is Parama Purusha is very, very subtle. So if you contemplate on the Parama Purusha, which has no beginning and no end, which is Anadi Anant, then the mind also becomes like that. When the mind becomes like that, then what happens? That the cup doesn't remain. When the mind becomes the infinite, then the cup doesn't remain. You don't have an individual existence. Then what happens? The water in the cup just merges with the ocean. So that is what is yoga, and that is what is aham brahmasmi. Is the realization of aham brahmasmi. That is what you do through the process of yoga. So we also talked about sadhana. Sadhana means meditation. It is a chesta. It is taking action or efforts. And sadhana, you can do sadhana in other areas as well, in other fields as well. But generally when we say sadhana, it means yoga sadhana. There is a specific technique for doing that. And so those of you who are interested in coming to the Shivir, Yoga Shivir, which is in December, on December 16th to 23rd, it is held in Varanasi. So those who come there will be able to understand, will be able to learn the paddhati for doing sadhana. So that is what we talked about. So yoga is essentially is to realize the infinite, and sadhana is one of the key aspects of that. And in addition to sadhana, it is the entire yogic life, from food, what are the activities you do. So Rajni, do you have a question? So it is a whole gamut of the yogic life. So that is what will be the practical aspects we'll be starting to talk about it today, right? So sadhana is a mindful concentration. It is a concentration on the infinite, which is the true goal of human life. One thing to note is sadhana is not an easy process. So so the mind, as we all know, that the mind doesn't stay in one place at one particular point in time. So it is always constantly juggling from one thing to another. It's just like a monkey, right? It doesn't stay in one place. Like a small child, if you tell a child just sit here, it's not going to sit there. So same way the mind, it doesn't stay in one place. It keeps jumping from one topic to another topic. So it is very, very chanchal. So the controlling the mind and concentrating, doing mindful concentration is not an easy thing. So there is a paddhati for that. And in order to aid the sadhana process, the whole the yogic lifestyle, from food and how do you what is the way you should live your life, how to do brahmacharya, all those aspects we'll be learning in our class going forward. So we talked about that. So as I was saying, that there are a lot of obstacles on the way when we do sadhana. So there is help. It is not that even though there is a struggle, so initially there is going to be a lot of struggle because we are going to be new to the process of sadhana. Initially there will be a lot of struggle. Over a period of time, as you do abhyasa, it just gets better. It just gets easier, and you're able to sit in Padmasana for a considerable amount of time, close your eyes and meditate. So the struggle that we get, a yogi welcomes a struggle. Yogi realizes that there is going to be struggle in the beginning, and he doesn't give up. So he continues to strive, and he's persistent and consistent, and he's disciplined. So he is able to see that there is a progress. There is a spiritual progress every day as he does sadhana, morning and evening. There is a spiritual progress. Your mind becomes more and more tuned with Paramatma. It becomes more and more focused. Concentration, the concentration increases. So you get agraya buddhihi. You get the pinnacled intellect. So those are all the benefits. But ultimately, the goal of yoga is to attain the infinite. So that, and then we also talked about yogi. Who is a yogi? Yogi is their ini pratyaya yogaha asya asmin va, in whom the yogic practice is somebody who follows the yogic practices is called as a yogi. It has nothing to do with the your how you look or your clothes. It's nothing to do with any of that, or where you live. It is uh, essentially, are you following the yogic lifestyle or not? That is what it is. So it entirely depends on, are you following the yogic lifestyle or not. So also it says that yogi welcomes the struggle and he moves on. Right? We also talked about, in order for us to do take a forward movement, just like when you walk, in order to take a forward movement, there is traction. Similarly, in order to progress spiritually, a little bit of struggle is essential. Without struggle, when you have struggle, that means you're succeeding. Struggle is the sign for success. So it is struggle means overcoming the obstacles so that you can move forward to attain what the goal of life is. So we talked about all that. And then so we also said that it is important for a yogi to engage in the yogic life. The body must provide a conducive environment, right, for the mind. The mind resides in the body, and the mind resides in the body. So if the body is not in a good shape, then you're not in a position to sit in Padmasana and do sadhana. So therefore it is very essential that the body should provide a anukula environment, a conducive environment. So so that for that purposes, the yogi realized this a long time, that a body needs to be healthy. It is not only healthy, in fact it should be beyond healthy. It has to be well synchronized and harmonized. All the glands of the body should be working properly. It should be working in a synchronized manner, right? So everything in this world has a vibration, and the body also has vibration. So when our individual vibration, which is called as the entitative vibration, when our individual vibration is aligned with the vibration of Paramapurusha, then that is when the union happens. So we need to make our adjustments. We need to make adjustments within ourselves so that our individual vibration aligns with the vibration of Paramatma. So that is what that process, the whole process is the Yoganishta Jivana. So we talked about all of that, and then also we said that having Sattvik Ahara, when you have Sattvik Ahara, then the body also becomes more and more Sattvik, and when you do the Yogasanas, then again body becomes more and more Sattvik. So when we say body becomes more and more Sattvik, the mind also becomes Sattvik. So our goal is actually is to make our mind more and more Sattvik. So when the mind becomes more and more Sattvik, then what happens is that you're able to progress spiritually. Your mind is inclined towards spirituality. If your mind is Rajasic or Tamasic, then your inclination towards spirituality is not there, because your mind is more attracted towards the crude objects of the world. So in order to make your mind more and more subtle, it is very important that your ahara, vyavahara, everything is Sattvik, and your thoughts are also Sattvik thoughts. So before that, so when we talk about, so from here we're going to start the new topic. So when we talk about yogic lifestyle, one thing that comes, when we talk about yoga itself, one thing that comes is, in the world, yoga means asanas, right? Asanas, that is not the goal of yogic life. Asanas are very important. It's not that they're not important, they're important. So when we say yoga asanas, the body is engaged in doing yoga asanas. For example, then it makes the body more Sattvik. When we engage in yogasana, then it makes the body more Sattvik. There are a variety of things we engage in to make the body a conducive host for the mind. There are a variety of things. So yogasanas are one example, that when we do yogasanas, when we say yogasanas, we are only talking about particular yogasanas. There are like thousands of yogasanas that people do, like all kinds of twisting and tanglings, but we are not, yogi does not engage in all those 1,000 kinds of yogasanas. There are specific yogasanas which will help aid in doing sadhana. The sadhaka, a practitioner of sadhana, a sadhaka means a practitioner of sadhana. One who does meditation is called as a sadhaka. He does not need to engage in thousands of asanas. That is not the goal of life. Doing millions of asanas or thousands of asanas is not the goal of life. So not those all those different yogas that we have, hatha yoga and other different yogas, where they are involved in doing, all sorts of twisting and tanglings and all kinds of things that they do, right? But our goal is not that. Our goal is not to do all those asanas. We have to engage in only those yoga asanas in order to put proper pressure and proper support for the specific glands throughout the body, which are important for being able to manage the activities of the mind. So what is the reason why we're doing asanas is to put pressure on the glands throughout the body. We have different glands, so the purpose of yoga asanas is to put the pressure on the specific glands, so that have a connection with the mind, so that it helps in managing the activities of the mind. So we are trying to create a conducive environment for the mind. For that purpose only we do yoga asanas. So if somebody extracts the yogasanas from the yogic practice and just takes them in isolation, then they are not understanding what the goal of yoga is. Yogasanas are done in the setting of somebody who is doing sadhana. So yogasanas are done to aid sadhana. So a sadhaka who is doing meditation wants the body to be in well balanced state, so that the mind becomes calm, the mind becomes shant. For that purpose we are doing yogasanas. So if the body is doing asana, make the body very sattvic. So if the body is very rajasic, if your body is like very rajasic, that means you cannot sit still in one place at one particular point in time. They just want to keep doing. They just like running after doing. People say they're workaholic, right? So they just can't sit quietly for a second. They want to keep doing something. So that means your body is very, very rajasic, right? So if you're very rajasic also, you cannot sit down and do sadhana because your mind is not calm. And also if your body is diseased, for instance, if you had a stroke, or if you had a heart attack, or if you just lost the functionality of a part of the body, right? That means if the body is not proper, is not working properly, then how can the mind that resides in the body move ahead, right? How can we move ahead spiritually? The mind cannot move ahead further, right? If your body is not in a healthy condition. So it's very important to have the body in a healthy condition. When the body is not proper, then the mind that resides in the body is not going to move forward. So it's important to have the mind, it's important to have the body in a proper shape, healthy, actually beyond healthy, so that the mind that resides in the body can progress spiritually. So we are talking about the movement from the finite to the infinite. The goal, always never forget the goal. The goal is the union of the finite with the infinite. To attain that goal, so we have to have the body in a proper shape. We are not going to say that just ignore the body, right? The people might say that just ignore the body. Body is, after all, it is going to perish at some point in time. No doubt the body is going to perish at some time, but even then, as long as we live, we have to live healthy, because only when you are healthy you can progress spiritually. If you're not healthy, then forget about spirituality. There's no way. If you're diseased, there's no way your mind is going to think about spirituality. Or if you're in pain, if your body is in pain, then there's no way you can think about spirituality. Then there is no way there is going to be union or movement from the finite to the infinite, moving from the imperfections to the perfections. That is not going to happen if the mind is not calm, right? So the place where the mind lives is very, very important, incredibly important for the forward movement, for the agragatihi. To have forward movement, agragatihi, the body is very important, because the body is the place where the mind resides. So we are now going to talk a little bit more about the ahara and the yogic lifestyle. So before doing that, can somebody summarize this for me, this slide, yogasanas? Kritika Bhagini, do you want to summarize?
Yes, Bhagini. Since the mind am I audible?
Yes, Bhagini, you are. Yes, Bhagini, you are.
Yeah. So as the mind resides in the body, so we need to do yoga. We need to keep our body healthy. Yoga is not just the yogasana, the asana part of it. So that is just one aspect, but in order to keep our body healthy so that the mind can stay in one place, we need to do certain yoga asanas where which help pressurize and support the specific glands, which will help to calm the mind. And we have to keep the mind in a sattvic position, not rajasic and tamasic. So the asanas also have to be done in those ways. Like if we do too many of those dangling or other asanas, which so makes our mind rajasic, and we will not be able to sit down in one position, meditate, which is the actual reason for doing yoga. So
yes, Vani.
Yes, Vani. Sorry. That's all I could think of. Sorry.
No, very good. It's
very
nice.
good. It's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it was very beautiful. Thank you, Bhagni. It was very beautiful. So yes, as you said, we what are those yogic poses, or what are those yogasanas? So if you come to the Shivir, we can learn what those yogasanas are. So we'll be doing those asanas morning and evening. We'll be doing that every day, so we will know how to do those asanas for people who are wanting to come to Shivir. And if people are not wanting to come to Shivir, even for those people, we can actually I have done a video on the yogasanas. I can share with you guys if you'd like, so that you can start practicing at home the yogasanas. So if you're interested, just let me know. I can share the link for that, so you can start practicing yogasanas even at home. Okay, so going forward, so we've been saying that yoga is a practical science, right? So the reason we keep saying yoga is a practical science is because that it is not that it's not just theory. So we also said that it's 99% theory, it is 99% practice, sorry, it's 99% practice and 1% theory. So everything that we do has a value to the extent it is brought to practice. So if we learn something very good and we just hear it in one year and let it go in the other year, does it have any value? No, right? So unless you actually implement it, it doesn't have any value. So anything, so the key, the unique aspect of our classes is that we do not say anything that we do not put to practice, right? So we only talk about things that we can actually put to practice. Our body is like a machine, right? It's like a yantra. So we put ourselves into that yantra and we come out as a true human being. We come out with the manava dharma. So that is what yoga is. It's a very, very practical science. So everything that we do has to be brought to practice. So you learn something and you don't do it, then what value does it have? You learned, let's say you learned to play an instrument, a musical instrument, and you never put your fingers on that instrument, then what value does it have? So you need to practice that, right? You need to do the abhyasa. So we need to bring it to practice. So yogi is a practical human being. All of the things which we have value in life, the yogi seeks to bring it to practice. So it's a very, very practical science. We talked about the value of asanas. So the setting of the overall yogic approach, the goal of which is sadhana. So the overall goal of yoga is sadhana, becoming that infinite, concentrating the mind on that infinite. Concentrating that mind on that infinite is not easy. It's not an easy task, right? We all know how our mind is very chanchal. So yogasanas will help with that, no doubt, but it is only one aspect of yoga. What are the other aspects? So we first talked about yogasanas. They're very important. They have an impact on the mind. They help making the mind sattvik, right? And we also talked about putting everything to practice, right? Yogi is a practical human being. Everything has to be brought to practice. So the first thing is yogasana. So the second thing is actually food, right? The second thing is food. So now we are going to talk about Sattvik Ahara. So We'll be talking about Sattvik Ahara. Firstly, uh, on the topic of Ahara, so one thing we have to understand is that we are living in a materialistic world, right? We are living in a materialistic world, and we have teachers all around us. Everything around us is teaching us something, right? We are actually misguided by the world. We are miseducated by the world. We have so many advertisements. You just switch on the TV, you have advertisements. So everywhere, wherever we are looking, we are being miseducated, right? People are miseducated into thinking that food is something designed for bhoga, right? This food is designed for something bhoga. So the taste sensation is given a lot of importance. Taste sensation is everything. What happens to the food after it gets swallowed, nobody thinks about it. It doesn't have any value, right? We're always thinking about where do we want to go and eat. What do I eat the next minute? Oh, shall I eat this? Shall I eat that? So the mind is always thinking about what I want to eat the next minute. We give a lot of importance to how it tastes. Taste is very, very important for us. So we don't care about what happens to the food after it goes down inside, right? The food that sits in the mouth temporarily for a few seconds or a few minutes, that is what is very valuable for us. We don't care about what happens to the food that goes down, right? People don't think about that. That is why what happens is that we get indigestion, we get all sorts of problems after swallowing the food, but we still don't care about it. We get some problem after eating a particular food. We enjoyed that food a lot, it tasted very good, we enjoyed that food, but we ate that food, and then after eating that food we got heartburn, we had stomach ache, we had indigestion, we had all sorts of problems. But then we had that problem that day, we forget it, and the next day we again go and eat the same food because we like the taste. So we really don't care about what happens to the food after it goes inside the body. And the reason for that we don't care about it is because we are miseducated. We've been living in a world where we're giving a lot of importance for the temporary taste sensation, right? All that we care about is that temporary experience that lasted for uh, 20 minutes or 40 minutes as we are eating, right? 20 minutes as we are eating, the taste that we get, that is what we are giving importance to. So uh, so that is the food. In today's world, food is the main feature of people's life. They always think about what they're going to make for lunch, what they're going to make for dinner, where they're going to go to the restaurant to eat, how the food is going to be there, going to be there. They're already thinking about it, imagining about it. They don't think about anything about what is going to happen to the food after it is swallowed. So this is the type of the world, right, that we live in. The entire world is like a type of a school. It's like a school. Our teachers are all the capitalists who send out all those advertisements on TV, radio, on billboards, everywhere. So people are getting wrong education every day, 24 hours of the day. So we are taught that we should eat this food, this chips, this fried food, this restaurant, this street vendor, whether in India or anywhere else, right? We have this McDonald's, we have a Burger King, we have all so many Indian restaurants. So wherever we go, right, they give the food. Wherever we go, the food there is for purpose of bhoga, is for bhoga. So we are living in this kind of environment which is not conducive to having proper food, because we're getting wrong education all the time. One of the principal things in yoga is that we'll be talking about it more later on, is that for a yogi we are not living in a material world. We are not living in a material world. Even though there is material existence, we are not living in a material world. For us, the world exists. A yogi doesn't say that the world does not exist. For a yogi, the world exists. The world is critically important. We do not ignore the world. We live in the world, but we don't get colored by the world, right? We live in the world, but we don't get colored by the world. We're not saying the world is mithya, right? Yogi does not accept that idea. We accept that this panchabhautika loka exists, the panchabhautika prithvi exists, right? We accept that, but we have to be conscious, we have to be active participants in creating an environment which is conducive for our individual and collective agragati, forward movement. Right? We have to create an environment which is conducive for our individual and also collective agragati, forward movement. So the world does exist. We are not going to say that the world does not exist. We are not, for a yogi, the world does exist. So that is, as the world exists, it is our duty to create an environment in which each and every person can thrive. So every person should be able to thrive. So we're living in a society. Society is also very important. For a yogi, it is not only the individual level but also the collective level. That is why we say that we have to do jagat hit, right? Paropakaraha punyaya, parapidanam papaya. So for a yogi, the individual welfare is important and also the collective welfare is equally important. So the collective welfare we will talk about it later on, but here our subject is food. What is food, right? So the philosophy of yoga is equally applicable at the individual level and also the collective level. So now at the individual level, what food should I eat? What food should I eat? What are the things in terms of the yogic lifestyle? What are the things that I need to be looking about? One is the yoga asanas that we talked about. What food should I eat? And then sadhana, meditation, creating a proper environment, having a good healthy body. These are all at the individual level. And there is also a collective level in terms of the jagat hit that we will talk about later on. So yoga is equally applicable to all aspects of life. For us, the samaj is also very important. The society is very important. So now when we're talking about the individual level, we talked about asanas. Now we're going to talk about food. So we said that the mind is residing in the body, right? The body is the house of the mind. So we already know that concentrating the mind is not easy. We have to take the help of the sadhana angas, all the different angas. We have to take help from all these things, right? So that we can create a peaceful Sattvik environment for the mind to do the sadhana. Sadhana means it's identifying oneself with the infinite. Aham Brahmasmi. Becoming that very thing which is actually he does not realize. So that is what yoga is all about. I am infinite, but I don't feel like that. And because of that, it changes my existence, that I don't feel I am infinite. How do I get to feel like that? How do I get to realize the fact? So the mind needs a conducive environment. Mind needs a conducive environment. So now we talked about asanas, now food, right? Sattvik Ahara. So the food makes the whole body and the mind. Annat eva manaha bhavati. The mind is made from the food that we eat, right? So it's very, very essential what food that we eat, because whatever food we eat has an impact on the body and the mind, right? If we should not be eating crude things like meat, non-vegetarian food. We should not be eating that. The first thing is we should not eat meat, eggs, non-vegetarian food. We should not be eating that. So the reason for that is the attraction towards the infinite, the attraction to Paramatma, the attraction to Paramapurusha. Paramapurusha is like a magnet. He's like a magnet. So if we have to become like the iron, if we have to become like the iron, then only we can get attracted to Paramapurusha. If we have impurities, so even though we are iron, we have impurities, then our attraction to Paramapurusha is not there. It is reduced because of the impurities. In order to get rid of the impurities from the mind and make the mind like a pure iron, so that it attracts to Paramapurusha, we have to increase the Sattva guna. So there are 3 gunas in this world. Everything in this world is made of 3 gunas: Sattva guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Everything in this world is made of, every object in this world is made of these 3 gunas. Right? There is nothing which does not have these 3 gunas. But some things we call as Sattvik. If the Sattva guna is Pradhana, if the Sattva guna is dominating of all the 3 gunas, then we call it something as Sattvik. When we call the food as Sattvik, does not mean it does not have Tamoguna or Rajoguna. It is Sattvik because the Sattva Guna is predominant. A food is called Sattvik food if the Sattva Guna is predominant. A food is called Rajasic if the Rajoguna is predominant. It does have the other two gunas as well, but the Rajoguna is predominant. And then a food is called Tamasic if it is having Tamoguna in predominance. The other two gunas are there, but they're less compared to the Tamoguna. So that is what the food is categorized into three categories. There are three categories of food. So the entire body is made of the food that we eat. So we must understand this, that our hands, legs, fingers, eyes, muscles, organs, brain, mind, everything is made of the food that we eat, physically made of that. Yeah. So if we are eating crude things, if somebody is eating meat, for example, then what happens is that their body is going to become like that. Their body is going to become crude like that, right? So we have to be very careful what we eat. So we should not be eating meat, eggs, any non-vegetarian foods which are very, very tamasic. They're all tamasic. So if we eat foods which are predominant with tamo guna, then our mind becomes tamasic. Our mind will not be attracted towards the infinite. It will be attracted to the crude things of the world. So the entire world is constituted by these resultant of these three forces: sattva guna, tamo guna, and rajo guna. Everything is made up of these forces, right? Everything has a certain vibration. Everything in this world has a vibration, right? From rock to everything that you see, everything has a vibration. Everything in this world is spandanatmak, right? Spandanatmakam. So food is also like that. So if somebody paints a painting, and that painting, depending on what they are depicting, may have sattvic vibration, may have rajasic vibration, or may have tamasic vibration, right? All kinds of images you can find in the internet. Some of them may be sattvic, some of them may be tamasic, some of them may be rajasic. So like that, food is also like that. Some foods are sattvic, some foods are rajasic, some foods are tamasic. Everything has all the three gunas. There is nothing in this world which has only one guna, right? Everything is a resultant of these three forces. If something is predominantly of sattva guna, then it will be sattvic in nature, because it is predominant by sattva guna. That's predominant by rajo guna, then it will be rajasic. But everything has all the three gunas acting on it. If something is predominant by tamo guna, then it will be tamasic. So that is what is the three categories of food. Our goal as a yogi is to take sattvic food, not rajasic and tamasic food. Sattvic food will help you, will increase the attraction towards the infinite. Sattva guna will increase the attraction towards the infinite. In today's world, attraction to the infinite is not present because of the pashu dharma. We know that we have two dharmas, the pashu dharma and human dharma. In today's world, people do not have attraction towards infinity. They have attraction to the material world. It is because of the pashu dharma in us, and it is because of the food that we eat, is because of all the material objects of the world. Our mind gets attracted to the crude things. That is why we forget our true existence. We forget our true goal of life. So the first thing that we can do as yogis is to make changes to the food. So in this light, Rima Bagni, do you want to summarize?
Like first of all, we are made of we are what we eat. That is one thing that I understood, and it is the food that we eat that works a lot with our body and mind, and we should eat only the foods can be categorized into sattvic. We are is that what I should say? Like the food that we eat has three qualities, and we are all made of everything. Is made of has all the three qualities, like Sattvik, Rajasic, and Tamasic qualities. And Sattvik is it has the Sattva guna, and Rajasic is Rajoguna, and Tamasic is Tamasa guna. And Sattvik, I mean, like if the Sattvik food does not include meat and animal products or anything like that, and Rajasic food it makes the people active, and I don't remember anything about the Rajasic food or anything. And meat and other things, they contain tamasic food. And the main purpose of going in for Sattvik food is to enjoy the presence of the Paramapurusha.
Mm.
And we should be like see, that is like a magnet. The superconscious, the Paramapurusha is like a magnet, and to make ourselves get attracted towards it, we should make ourselves like iron, for which food and yogic practices allow us to become one like that. And doing yoga also, like we should be doing there are certain yoga that yoga asanas that we should be doing. And again, in yoga asanas, like there are some of them that keeps us active, that keeps us keeping active all the time, and it doesn't give that restfulness that is needed for meditation and to reach the Paramapurusha. And you actually started with mind is like a monkey, and the mind is also like a child. It keeps going up and down. It doesn't rest for a while and all those things. He is a person who knows that it is difficult to reach the state of calmness. And as they do the sadhana, they become a sadhana. So this is what I remember, Bhagni.
Very good, Bhagni. Very nice. Very, very good. Very nice. Yes, that is the idea. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. So now we talked about the three categories of foods. Now we'll see what are the foods that we're supposed to eat. Right? So Sattvik, Rajasic, and Tamasic. So what are the foods that we're supposed to be taking? Are basically fruits, vegetables, grains, and beans. These are all Sattvik with a few exceptions. What are those exceptions? We'll be covering in the next slide. But essentially, fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, sprouts, these are all Sattvik. These are all Sattvik. And Tamasic, Rajasic is coffee, tea, carbonated drinks. These are all Rajasic. These are all Rajasic. They should be avoided. Tamasic food, meat, fish, chicken, eggs, and also the under the fruits and vegetables, onion, garlic, mushroom, broad categories, they are all tamasic. Those foods should be avoided. So essentially, a yogi should be having a whole foods, plant-based diet is recommended for a yogi. The food should be alive, just like as you remove it from the garden and you bring it in the house and you eat. It should be alive. The food should be alive. So fruits, vegetables, grains, and beans are all Sattvik, with the exception of onion, garlic, and mushroom. Onion, garlic, mushroom are Tamasic, and there are a few more exceptions. We will be looking at in the next slide. Sattvik means, what is Sattvik? Sattvik means a food that is good for the body and the mind. Food that is good for the body and the mind. Rajasic food is, it may or may not be good for the body, but it has a Rajasic effect on the mind. Rajasic food, may be good for the body, but it has a Rajasic effect on the mind. Not every rajasic food is bad for the body. It may be good, it may not be good, but it has a rajasic effect on the mind. It makes the mind very very chanchala, that you cannot concentrate, you cannot focus on a particular thing. The rajasic foods make mind very very chanchala. That includes caffeine, coffee, tea, carbonated drinks, predominantly these items. These are all rajasic items. And tamasic items are those items that come from animal, all the animal products, right? With all the animal products like meat, fish, eggs, chicken, anything, right? Those are the few main categories. So people in America, they think that depending on the color of the flesh, they say whether it is meat, if it is a particular color then it is healthy, if it's not of that color it's not healthy, they say that. But any meat, irrespective of the color of the flesh, any meat is tamasic, right? Doesn't matter how that animal moves, it has the same effect on the mind and the body. It is not healthy. One should stay away from these foods. So the whole foods, plant based is the scientific term for these foods. Whole foods, plant based. So we should be eating sattvic food. We should not be eating tamasic food. We should not be eating tamasic food. So when we talk about tamasic food, so I want to add a little bit more over here. But so far, you guys are you guys getting an idea about what sattvic food is? Chandrasekhar Mohdaya, what do you think?
Yes, Bahini. So we understand what the three categories of food are: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. But then the whole recommendation is to have whole foods, plant-based, is what's recommended for the yogi. We also want to recommend cooking with water instead of oil.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And,
yes.
So everything in this is evolved from plants. Either people eat plants or eat something that consumes plants.
Yeah.
And aushadhi, this is annam.
Yeah. So over here, I want to stop for a minute, and I want to ask that I want to ask you guys to actually implement this in your diet and do this for a week. Do this for a week. I'm pretty sure it is actually a lot of people have experienced that even after a single meal having a sattvic bhojanam, people feel very good. They don't have indigestion problems, they don't have gas, they don't have burping, they have none of that. When people eat sattvic food, they feel a lot more energetic. They don't get tired. In my own personal experience, having implemented the sattvic diet for the last 3.5 years or so, I feel so energetic. I don't feel tired. I mean, from morning till night, I have so many things going on, and I never get tired. It's like I have energy to do everything, and also I can handle things in a calm manner. So those are all the benefits. And also when you go and do your your medical test, when you do your blood work, you will just be amazed, you will just be shocked by the results. So unless you actually implement these, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. I may just be preaching something, but that doesn't matter. But what I want you guys to do is actually start implementing it. Implementing it in your day-to-day life. So like for instance, you can try to have fruits and vegetables one meal every day for a week, and then have very little of rice and then have more vegetables, right? Have little bit of dal and have more vegetables. Avoid using, also another thing is cook using water instead of oil. The reason why the Indian style of cooking, what we do is we put oil and we just heat the oil, and then we put the mustard seeds, and also you put all the masalas, and then you just kind of fry it and then you put the vegetables, right? What happens is that first of all we're using refined oil. That refined oil itself is not good for us. Refined oil itself is not good for us. It's going through a lot of chemical process. It has saturated fats, it has trans fat, so that itself is not good for your body. That is, it's purely fat, and that much of fat is not needed for the body. And what happens that eating that kind of fat results in obesity and all other health problems. So first of all, having oil itself is bad, refined oil itself is bad. On top of it, heating the oil to high temperature, it makes it carcinogenic, right? It makes it cancer producing. So when you heat oil, according to the Indian style of cooking, when you heat the oil to high temperature, you're actually making the oil carcinogenic and it making it cancer producing. So that should be completely avoided. Cooking the food using oil in high temperature, it's not at all good for us. So that is one thing. So what I would ask you guys to do is, for this 1 week, implement the Sattvik diet in your life, and I want you to come back and tell me how you feel. I want each and every one of you to do that, right? I think everybody can do it. It's not difficult. What do you guys say? You guys, any thought?
Yes, we have been doing it. Now, this month and all, when we have festivals, we don't. First, we avoid this onion, garlic, and all, no?
Mm.
So, from this month of Ashada or Adimasam, we say here, we don't take
What
onion,
about oil?
garlic. Oil also is less because we make only steamed foods for our festivals, like
Okay.
kolakata, all those things.
Okay. So, okay, good. So so you implement these changes in this week, and we can see how it goes in the next week. And also, I want to bring in one more thing over here, is that, so technically speaking, all the dairy products, they are in the Sattvik category. The dairy products, typically speaking, they are in the Sattvik category. But in today's world, the way the milk is being produced from the cows, right? If you're thinking about the yama and niyama, right, which we will be talking about in the next week, right? When we look about the ethics, yogic ethics, from the point of view of ahimsa, the milk and milk products, they don't remain in the Sattvik category anymore. They don't remain in the Sattvik category anymore. About this milk thing, I will talk about it in a little bit detail in the next class. But as yogis, we should not even be taking milk products. We should not take dairy and milk products. What happens is, when you take milk, it just increases your obesity. It increases your obesity. When you become obese, then what happens? Automatically you get diabetes, you get stroke, you get heart attack, you get all sorts of issues. So in today's world, looking at the way the milk is produced, the milk has been injected with hormones, it's being injected with antibiotics. The cows are all living in a unhealthy conditions, right? So they fall sick a lot. So they've been injected with antibiotics. So you can imagine how the cow's mind would have been when the milk is generated in its body, and that is the milk that we use. And also, in those days, in olden days, when the yogi used to have the cow in their own home, growing the cow and taking care of the cow, so they treat that cow as like a family member, and they take care of it, they give it proper food, and the cow used to generate only 1 liter or 2 liters of milk. So the most of the milk is for the calf or the calf, and whatever remaining little bit milk, the yogis used to take it, and that was Sattvik. But in today's world, it is not like that. The cows are, first of all, in the industries, in the milk industry, or in the farms, in the farmers' farms, and they are not in the whole goal is to make profit, is to generate maximum milk from the cows. So what they do is they've been artificially impregnated. So the cows, just like any other mammals, generate milk only when they are pregnant. So these cows are all artificially impregnated, and in order to generate maximum milk from them, they are being injected with hormone injections. And as a result, what happens is that the milk that we get, And also the milk, in order to increase the shelf life of the milk, these milk all been injected with other preservatives and whatnot, chemicals and whatnot. So the milk that you get in the supermarkets these days, they're completely unhealthy for you, completely unhealthy for you. They increase obesity, they give you all sorts of diseases. So the first thing for most of us, when we hear the thing that say you should stop drinking milk, people think that this is westernized concept that we should stop drinking milk. Cows are holy, and whatever we get from cows are actually holy. That kind of a thing is a completely wrong idea, because we have to see anything which is considered sattvic has to be good for the body and the mind. But if you're taking milk and that is not giving that sattvic impact on your body and mind, then you can no longer consider it as sattvic. So the milk, the process through which the milk is coming to your house, that process is not sattvic, nor that the milk that you take is having a sattvic impact on your body. If it is having sattvic impact on your body, then it should not generate diseases, but it is generating diseases. In our classes, so many people have stopped the dairy products and they have noticed significant reduction in their weight. They have noticed significant changes to their BP, significant changes to their cholesterol, significant changes to their overall health. They have got rid of diabetes. A lot of people have got rid of diabetes. So some people have stopped their BP medication. So, and also your weight comes to your ideal weight. So I can be talking about it a long time, but what I want you guys to do is actually try it out for 1 week and see how you feel. And then so the whatever the calcium requirement from milk, the calcium that you get from the milk, that's a typical question that we get. So how do we get the calcium from the milk if you're not taking milk? So the calcium that you need, you are getting it from your fruits and vegetables, grains and beans. You are getting enough calcium from that. You don't need the calcium from milk as a substitute. Whatever the calcium requirement for the body, you can get it from fruits and vegetables, grains and beans. So that is what it said. So essentially you have to focus on fruits, vegetables, fruits, and even when vegetables, we say if you can eat raw vegetables is really very good. It has a lot of nutrients, phytochemicals, which are very, very good for your body and mind. So as much as you can, if you have good organic fruits and vegetables, eat as much as fruits and vegetables as you can, and you will see how the energy levels in your body increases drastically. So I want to stop here. I want to ask if you guys have any questions.
One thing, I assume that the ghee, the neigh is also falling into the same dairy product category.
Yes, Maurya. Ghee, neigh, everything. The ghee, paneer, butter, everything. Yeah, anything, any milk product, everything falls under this category.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So what I suggest is that all of you try to implement this for the next 1 week, and then come back and tell me how you felt, or what did you notice. Are you all motivated to try? Each of you say that. Chandrasekhar Mahodaya.
I'm a vegetarian all my life. So now this one's just turning it into a vegan diet more than a vegetarian diet, minus onion, garlic. Yeah, right. This week is going to be a little difficult. There's a few other commitments, but yes, I will try my best.
Okay, Mahodaya, thank you. What about Hamsini Bhagini?
I usually try to eat Sattvik foods, and I try following the diet this week.
I'm not able to hear you properly.
This week I was planning to eat like mostly fruits and everything, so I think that I can follow the
You, you can try, right? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that will be amazing. That will be wonderful. Okay. Krutika Bagni?
I'm basically a vegetarian, but yes, I've been trying to give up onion, garlic. But it becomes very difficult when you are cooking for the whole family, then to make something separate for you, because my family is not really into giving up onion, garlic. I mean, none of us have eggs and meat. We're all vegetarians. And though we eat a lot of fruits, a lot of salads, all that is there in our diet, but normal cooking is, I get those cold pressed oils and all that. But onion garlic is something that I really want to try to give up. So that will be my goal for this week.
Okay, wonderful. Very nice. Okay. Pushpalata Bagni?
Bhagini, that's what I told you. Even the same thing, strict vegetarian only. And as previously the Bhagini said, when the whole family comes, we cannot skip onion and garlic. But this month, we have this festivals like Naga Chaturthi, that Adi Amavasya and all. So for that we never use this month fully we never use onion garlic. And also all our items what we make for God, or we actually fast. I actually fast only once that day, and that will be only steamed food, not fried ones.
Okay, Bagni. Okay, Rima Bagni?
Yes, I'll follow this diet. I also belong to the pure vegetarian category, and I mean, as everyone has a problem, family members, we cannot force them into this kind of a diet. It is difficult. So I'll certainly follow whatever is best. And we try to have all these celebrations during this week, Varalakshmi Vratam and such kind of things. So, invariably like one meal a day, and I don't know whatever is being offered to the deity.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I'll try as possible not to eat outside food, and whatever food that is being prepared at home, and also like vegetables. We live on vegetables, not on raw vegetables, but I'll try to follow all the prescribed Sattvik food.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you, Bagini. Sharada Bagini? Are you there, Sharada Bagini? Okay, mic problem. Okay, so we will end the session over here unless you have any questions. If not, we'll see you in the next class. Okay, tarhi धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः.
धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.